We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Open your eyes.
Hello, hello, hello. Bit of a delay there, getting us back into the screen once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open Your Eye. Today is Tuesday, March the 23rd in 2021, and we're just skipping right along here into the spring weather here at the Pace Radio Network with our brand new show, Open Your Eye. And my joint host is in the house with me today, Miss Cindy Howell.
Hey, how you doing, kid? Look, you got the wave right. I'm impressed.
Look at that, look at that. I got it down. I pointed the right way. Anybody out there is thinking, yeah, well, why is that an amazing feat? If you only knew. Yeah. StreamYard technology. We're actually backwards. When I have to point to Cindy, I have to point away from Cindy in order for it to be towards Cindy on the screen. So
It's not as easy as you think.
no, it's not. It can get quite confusing out here. We were doing a little bit of a different format today here in those. Hello, Ginger Chase. Hello, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. We are absent one joint host today. Michelle Sikora is not with us today. You and I are on our own today.
Yes, we're here by herself. She she was up late with some new babies.
Yes. We got some new fur babies in the house over at the Sikora residence. A couple of new Roddies, brand new babies in the house. They're only like 7 or 8 weeks old or something. And they're a handful, a couple of twins over there. So Michelle was up most of the night. She's taking a week off, and she will be back with us for our next show coming up in just over 2 weeks' time. The next one is actually 3 weeks away because March has 5 weeks.
Yes, so it would be what is it? April 13th is the actual date of the next show.
Oh, I think so, yeah. So the next one is 3 weeks away before we're back again. Because we are on twice a month. There are a few months every year, of course, that have 5 weeks. So that puts it at a 3-week stretch rather than a 3-week stretch in between.
Yep.
Sorry, bring it back to 3 weeks. Second week in April. So we are here every month on the second and the fourth week of the month. Today being the fourth week of the month. We are going to do a different format. We're going to cover some news.
There's actually a lot of psychedelic news out there these days. So it's nice to be able to take a majority of a show and share some of it with everybody, for sure.
Yeah. Normally we start off the show with one news item. We talk briefly about something that's made mainstream media headlines, and then we bring in our guests. There's so much news out there, and we, of course, so you, Cindy, and I also do the Reefer Reporters here at the network, and we make sure, there's at least one psychedelic story in our lineup each and every week, but it is the Reefer Reporters, so we can't really flood our segment with
As
you know,
much as we would like to.
yeah. So we thought, well, once in a while, if we integrate one of our shows here on OYE, we can sort of cover anything that's been in the news in the last, several weeks to several months, and give an overview of how this is evolving, mainstream media-wise, as well as industry-wise, mainstream industry getting in on psychedelics. So we've got 4 stories lined up here for you today that we're going to do sort of the same protocol that we use on the reefer reporters. We're going to share the screen so that you can follow along with some of the news stories that are making mainstream media. We're going to go back and start off with our first one. Is back in February, I believe, was the first story that we had on tap. And that was a psychedelic drug therapy is now offered at a Calgary clinic, first of its kind in Alberta. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is kind of exciting. In January, a man with terminal cancer received the first federally approved magic mushroom treatment in Alberta. And this week, and we're talking back in February. So the middle of February, the first clinic in the province used psychedelic therapy opened. So that was really, really exciting.
Yeah, really, and I love the picture for our viewers that are watching the StreamYard. I'm just going to sat on that picture for a couple of seconds. There's some marvelous fungi. Look at the blues.
Yeah.
It's just.
And the caption with that is psilocybin is the ingredient in magic mushrooms that causes hallucinations if you take it in large amounts. But in medically supervised settings, it can also potentially help people overcome depression. And that's the caption that goes with that picture.
Absolutely. And you and I both know this to be true. It's kind of opposite of what the typical antidepressant or psychotic medication would do. So typically they will suppress or numb down what's happening in your emotions and your spirits and your body, according to a statement from CEO David Harder. The psychedelics will actually raise those feelings, those things, and allow a therapist to work with you to really work through and not just suppress whatever it is that is holding you back. For example, the depression or the anxiety or PTSD especially. Oh, did I lose Cindy? I think I've lost Cindy. Cindy is muted.
Cindy's muted for some reason, but Cindy's here.
Awesome.
I don't know why it was muted. That was weird. Yeah, no, and it's true. Like, I mean, like, this statement is so true. It doesn't hold it back. It helps bring it out. It helps cut the emotional ties so you can actually deal with it. And Tony White, for him, the magic mushroom therapy allowed him to let go of some of the anxiety and depression that had been crowding him since his terminal cancer diagnosis that he received, in therapy on January 1st. Or he received the magic mushroom therapy on January 1st that helped him to deal with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Since I'm going to skip down, psilocybin is the main active ingredient, as you said, in the magic mushrooms. And currently Health Canada grants exemptions that allow individual therapy sessions using psilocybin for the terminally ill, as well as other things that are not mentioned in here. The terminally ill is not the only prerequisite. There are others. That's just the one that is focused on in this particular article. The new clinic will start this mandate, but Harder hopes to see it expand as well to other things, because we know personally of patients that have Section 56 medical exemptions to use it for treating things like chronic pain, depression, PTSD, a host of other things.
Very muchly so. Yeah, personally, with me, it's PTSD and panic disorders that I use. But I have noticed it also helps a lot more on days that I microdose. I have less pain. Um, so it's nice to watch these clinics coming together and actually happening. And that's really it. I'm actually happening. I mean, like even 6 months ago, I couldn't imagine a magic mushroom clinic anywhere in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. The doors are just popping on this entire industry. It's an explosion for sure, and I love it. It's great to see. The clinic will administer only magic mushroom therapy for now, partly, of course, for safety reasons. They say it's difficult to find other psychedelics drugs in a pure state, and they are often laced with other cutting agents like fentanyl. So that's a worrisome problem for sure. Palliative care therapy is being offered at no cost.
Uh, that that's a beautiful line. Let's just read that one more time. Palliative care therapy is being offered at no cost. That's beautiful. Wow. These are really, really patient over profits people, and that's so beautiful to see. With the way that today's medicine has gone on. And Harder said, he goes, "We believe it's something we can give back. We are moving forward with mental health treatments that will be charged for treatment, of therapy, as the therapist's time and the sitting time have to be taken in account for. But with palliative care, we believe this is something where we can give back."
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, there's a screening process as part of the exemption application. Each case may vary, but generally the participant undergoes counseling sessions before as well as afterward. And he said there are a couple of people on hand during the 4 to 5 hours psychedelic experience, including a therapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist. The psychedelic therapy will be overseen by the clinic as chief medical officer, psychiatrist Dr. Ravinder Bains.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love to see more modern day doctors getting in on plant medicine and of any form. It makes me very happy. Harder said that this form of therapy, once it's more widely accepted, holds promise for a much wider range of treatments. The studies have been done, he said. We know this is safe. We know this is efficient. We know it helps. And with the growing mental health crisis in our country, we know that this is something that could really help the issues that our society is facing. And I know, as well as many others know that firsthand.
Absolutely, 100%. It's a great thing to see happening right here in Canada. I mean, that's mind blowing that it's happening right here in home.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting to watch. Watch this happen in Calgary. I can't wait to see it spread across the country.
Absolutely. From there, we're going to go to our next story from Psychiatric Times. This one is talking about patients' rights and how they are moving forward. Clinicians and patients take the fight for psilocybin to court. This took place back in March 11th.
Yeah. So we're being reported here that the first legal challenge to allow psilocybin therapy for end-of-life care patients is moving forward in the United States court. So we've done this in Canada. They're doing this in the United States, and it's in the Ninth Circuit. It's really exciting to watch this happen. There was actually a Q&A session on March 9th with Sunil Agarwal, who is a member and coordinator of the AIMS Advanced Integrated Medical Science Institute, who is researching this.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are doing great things, and that's why it's sort of prudent with the story up next. I mean, right here in Canada, we are doing psilocybin end-of-life therapy. And now we go south of the border, and that's exactly what they are fighting for down there in the US of A. Special counsel and leading patients' right advocate Catherine Tucker Esquire and patient Aaron Baldachoweiler. Oh my
Good
goodness.
job.
And joined Agrawal for the discussion. According to Tucker, the drug and the DEA locked Aaron's and Michael Bloom, both of whom have had advanced cancer from accessing therapy from naturally occurring psychedelics, i.e. psilocybin, and has reportedly shown potential effectiveness in alleviating depression and anxiety. So they're fighting for the right to use another natural remedy to battle the effects of their chronic condition.
Yeah, yeah, and it's down in the United States. Like, I mean, they're on the forefront. This is a huge fight, especially as the United States comes closer and closer and closer to the repeal of their cannabis prohibition. This is like they're chomping on the heels of that, and they're gonna. I hope that they're going to use what cannabis is doing and really slingshot themselves forward off of cannabis. I think using the same fights that they will.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, psilocybin is currently classified as a Class 1 substance by the DEA, but it might be a major improvement for patients struggling with cancer diagnoses. Aaron, aged 48, has stage 4 metastatic triple negative breast cancer and claims that psilocybin improves her symptoms of depression and anxiety. Oh, she can claim it all day long, and we're going to jump on that bandwagon and hoist her ass up there because she is absolutely right. It helps enormously with these symptoms.
Yeah, it helps to alleviate everything that comes with it. And she wants to help keep the door open for other patients. So, she's deciding that, while she's fighting, she's going to get one of those door stops and pry that door open and make sure it doesn't close. Yeah, and it's always the people like her who are fighting for end of life rights that make the changes for everybody else. Like, I mean, I really have to commend her. I can't pronounce your last name, but Aaron, I think you are an amazing person. Thank you so much for your fight. And when she was asked how psilocybin could impact the mental health field as a whole, actually Agrawal stated it would be a whole new approach to not just depression and anxiety, but post-traumatic stress disorder and addiction as well, as we've seen in many documentaries. And he also agreed that physicians would need significant training to know what they're dealing with. Because as we know, as everybody knows, if a physician doesn't know it, they don't like it and they don't prescribe it and they preach against it.
Absolutely. We're going to keep an eye on this that's going forward in the U.S. today, of course. And, we're leaps and bounds ahead of the United States when it comes to psilocybin therapy, just as we were with cannabis, with legalization here happening far ahead of what it was taking place in the U.S., which is surprising because the conversation began in the U.S. back in the 70s. And they're still talking about it.
Yeah, it's almost mind-blowing.
It really, really is. It really, really is. We have one more story that we're going to talk about here. This one dives into the expansion of psychedelic medications flowing through different enterprises. Benzinga is reporting that PsychEd, Novamind partners with Merck, and Atai expands to Japan, and Australia funds psychedelic research. So lots going on the psychedelic front in big business.
Yeah, Novamind strikes research deal with Merrick, which is really exciting. Novamind is a psychedelics company, as I'm just learning as I'm reading here. And then they announced that a subsidiary has been selected as a research site for the clinical trial of a compound developed by a pharma giant, Merrick. The phase 2 trial will assess the efficiency and safety of MK1942, which is an undescribed molecule in conjunction with antidepressants. So they're researching antidepressants and what they're calling an undescribed molecule.
Yeah, an undescribed molecule. They're using natural compounds found in like psychedelics, and just much like they're trying to tear apart the cannabis plant and identify all of its cannabinoids and parts and terpenes and molecules that are combined in this plant that creates this wonderful medicine. You know, we've got CBD and CBN and CBG and THC, and all of them are being ripped apart and isolated, and they're trying to create medicines based on these isolates. That sounds to me pretty much like what they're doing here with psychedelics.
Yeah, it seems to be. So we have the psychedelic company is they're banding together, or they're forming an alliance with a pharma giant to do exactly that, to tear apart psilocybin and hopefully put it back together in a way that they can educate physicians and have it prescribed.
Yeah, well, it comes down to once again, the big cry from physicians: standardized dosing, standardized meds. That's what they're after. They want to be able to take something off the shelf and know that this bottle is the same as the last bottle. If you're dealing with a plant, that doesn't happen.
No. In all the research that I've read when I got ready to start microdosing myself here a number of years ago, that's in every article and every piece of research that I read, it said that once you finish this batch of mushrooms, when you go to the next batch of mushrooms, it's going to be different. So you have to, relearn. And they said it doesn't matter if it's the same strain of mushrooms or not. It's going to be completely different. And I was taught the exact same thing about cannabis. You can grow a room and have 20 plants in there and have them all say purple kush, but plant A and plant B are going to be completely different when you burn them and use them.
Yes, absolutely. And I find that I like to squish my plants and make live resin with my plants. I prefer the extracts with my plants. And that happens regularly. 2 plants, exactly the same strain, 2 seeds growing side by side. And when you extract it, one comes out bright yellow and the other one comes out a dull yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the terpenes, it's the flavonoids, it's different elements that are stronger in one plant than the other. The same can be said for the human race. When we give birth to a set of identical twins, identical in every manner, but they are not the same.
That's right. And that can be proven by, they prove that with, animals in captivity all the time. Twins will be born and they'll separate those twins to grow in 2 different zoos. And those 2, say polar bears is what seems to be coming to mind for whatever reason, because I'm looking at a picture of a polar bear, I think. They will grow up to have 2 completely different personalities, even though they seemingly should be identical.
Yeah, absolutely. One will have a slightly rounder face. One will have fatter lips even. There can even be, the physical attributes that are slightly different. Slightly rounded eyes, slanted eyes, that kind of thing, where physical attributes you can show up, even though genetically, on paper, broken down, you are identical. You are still not the same. This holds true for everything in nature.
Yes, including all plants, all funguses. Everything. It includes everything. So your cannabis plants, your magic mushrooms, your rose bushes do not escape from this same fate.
Yes, that's right. So standardized medicine, that's always been a hurdle with bringing any of these natural elements to mainstream medicine. In today's world, those two words can be the biggest roadblock ever for something that can actually help you be accepted in mainstream medicine. Down in the state side, we'll go back to the article, ballot votes on psychedelics come into effect in BC and Oregon. As of now, natural psychedelics are the lowest law enforcement priority in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I read an article about this here not very long ago, that DC was, was loosening their laws, so to speak. So after voters approved the decriminalization of psychedelic plants and fungi in the country's capital in November 2020, Initiative 81 came into effect on March 15th of this year under the Plant and Fungus Policy Act of 2020. In Oregon, the 2-year plan to legalize and regulate the therapeutic use of psilocybin, it's set in motion by the approval of Measure 109 this past November. It reached an important milestone after Governor Kate Brown announced the members of the Oregon Psilocybin Advisory Board. The board is composed of doctors, researchers, therapists, and fungi experts. So Oregon's really taking it seriously, and they're trying to do the right things. What I read from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Oregon's got exciting stuff going on in Oregon. It really does. We have a future guest that'll be on the show that is in the state of Oregon and involved in the entire regime that's going on down there. So it's extremely interesting stuff. I'm excited to have him on in the future. Going on to our next little bit here in this article, we're going to talk about Akai's perception as it expands into Japan. Yeah, that's right. You heard right. Japan. Perception Neuroscience announced a collaboration and licensing agreement with Otsuka Pharmaceutical Company for the development and commercialization of something called PCN 101 in Japan.
Well, that's pretty cool. It's telling us here that PCN 101 is a proprietary. Thank you, ma'am. Ketamine analog. I couldn't get that word out of my mouth. Developed by Perception, which could be deployed in Japan for the potential treatment of major depressive disorders and treatment-resistant depression. And I've heard of ketamine therapy before. This is kind of interesting that Japan's doing some research.
Yeah, low dose ketamine is right in there with similar effects that we talked about with ayahuasca, psilocybin, iboga, lion's mane. Many of them are up there with the same similar results, and we're seeing many of them are now being studied. Perception is a company that is a part of Akai Life Sciences portfolio, and will receive an upfront payment of $20 million. The company plans to use the proceeds to help fund the overall development of treatments, and additional proceeds could be added in the future in the form of royalties and commercial sales. Of course, there's royalties involved.
There's always royalties involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the PCN 101, are going through a development and regulatory steps necessary to commercialize them in Japan, and hopefully that'll go smoothly.
Yeah, hopefully that'll go smoothly. Our next bit is on DMT, a pharma drug dives into DMT research with the University of Michigan.
This is DMT catches my eye because it's known as the spiritual drug. So pharmaceutical companies, a pharmaceutical company called PharmaDrug Inc., which focuses on cannabis, psychedelics, and naturally derived medicines, has launched a sponsored research agreement with the University of Michigan to study psychedelic DMT. I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah, they say our research collaboration with the University of Michigan commitment on consciousness science is essential to our psychedelic pharmaceutical strategy of creating a unique portfolio of DMT therapies targeting rare disorders while also focusing on foundational research with DMT to explore and to evaluate its therapeutic potential across all psychological areas of the human body, according to CEO Daniel Cohen.
It's exciting stuff. I can't wait to see what comes out of this research.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna
Yeah.
go one more step across the globe and into Australia.
Yeah, exciting. The Australia government lays down $11 million for psychedelic research. And we reported on them just last Thursday.
Yeah, this was the one that we pulled into the Reefer Reporter. Gotta get our psychedelic story in there at least once a week. The federal government of Australia is backing a set of clinical trials with funding of $15 million Australian dollars, or 11.6 million US dollars, that will explore how MDMA, ketamine, and psilocybin can be used for the treatment of mental health disorders.
This is really exciting. I've been following another group of people, MAPS, for about 2.5 years now, and watching what they do. And I mean, everything that I see, every bit of research I see just has so much promise. And it's so amazing to have Australia step on board. They were really hard to pull in with the cannabis legalization and whatnot. So it's really nice to see them step forward and do a lot with the psychedelic medicine.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, there's tons going on in the psychedelic scene, and Australia's on board. The early trials, results of trials, and internationally are extremely encouraging, but more research is desperately needed, according to the Health Minister, Greg Hunt.
Yeah, and the decision this decision comes just weeks after the country's Therapeutic Goods Administration denied a request to move MDMA and psilocybin from a Schedule 9 to a Schedule 8, which is going from prohibited substance to a controlled medicine. So they want to get some more research done before they move it over.
Absolutely, makes sense to me. Absolutely makes sense to me. It's great to see all of this stuff going on in mainstream media. I'm going to bring us back in. So I'm going to turn my camera back on. There we go. That's like 4 stories that we covered there. And we've got one more, but I want to save that one until we come back from a break. We're going to take a short commercial break and come back with one more final story. And after we do the final news story that we're going to discuss, we're going to bring in a special guest, an El Papin guest. So more on, and then Cindy and I are also going to have a conversation on our own personal journeys with meditating, with microdosing, and talk a little bit with our live studio audience here in the house, as well as our online studio audience. And yes, I do see all of you chiming in, but we were busy reading news stories, and I wasn't on the StreamYard page because I was reading the news stories. But all of your questions, responses, and comments right after we hear from our commercial segment. We've got to pay some bills. We got sponsors. We definitely got to pay some bills. Hopefully this works without too many issues. Without too much further ado, we will hear from a few sponsors. Before we do play our sponsor segment, we are going to hear from joint host Greg McEachern, who's going to tell us about a contest that is going on here at the station. So you're going to want to get in on that. So stay tuned for more here on Open Your Eye at paceradio.net. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll make you proud. BMA Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
CT, Medicinal Cannabis Clinic. If you want your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then that's give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-9888. That's 1-3-967-9888, and go on with Steve.
PACE is education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the big pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or operator of the cure, from 4 plants matter, Dr. Buck Cannabis Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. Trim your weed, do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Legalization, more job, lights to plant nutrients, books, accessories, and more. We've got your basics to consume cannabis. Visit our info center to look at and jewelry. Now store through up in Bridge Street. Experience the difference. Control.
Our labs
Experience the difference.
follow for their
Difference in accessibility.
we're open days on our website. Legacy contact
For wellness.
common difference of C420.
You're listening to the Pace Network here.
Hey, from your cannabis collects in nutrients for bigger, better microbloom 3.
You're muted. You're muted, Kim. There you go.
I was frozen.
Oh, okay.
I'm like pushing the button. Stop! Put me back in. And it didn't go.
You're here now.
New computer is in my horizon. It is. Looking at comments, still not working correctly, but I know my comments are coming in right. That's okay. Oops. Technical difficulties here on OYE. What's new? Welcome back, and we are live here at paceradio.net on Open Your Eye. And we are having a discussion today with our host, Cindy Howell. We're going to talk a little bit more about news. And then we're going to get into microdosing and discussion with our audience online as well as in person, in-house. And bringing
Nice.
guests. In the meantime, we do have one more story that I want to cover. This one, I wanted to make sure that we got it in today because it's brand new. brand new breaking news, as they say.
Yeah, just a few hours ago.
Yeah, coming to us from MSN Lifestyle. I think it's Channel 4. I doubt it's stateside. Magic mushrooms as medicine. Psychedelics could be fight alcohol dependence. PTSD.
Yeah. It's we've seen this headline any number of times, but I get excited every time I see it come from somewhere new. It will not come as a surprise to some that a clinical trial at a major metropolitan hospital is testing a treatment for alcohol use disorder that involves psilocybin, which is better known as magic mushrooms. But to those who have been following the expanding research into psychedelic-assisted therapy for conditions ranging from addiction to depression and PTSD, what's new is not the psilocybin, but combining it with video.
Yeah, combining it with video. I mean, it's interesting stuff. It's a novel approach, according to Dr. Daniel Kelly, MD, and neurosurgeon, who is a director of Pacific Neuroscience Industry, part of St. John's Medical Center in Santa Monica. And they're conducting a trial. It's truly groundbreaking and historic, are words used by filmmaker Louis Schwartzberg, who created the video that they're using in this trial.
Yeah, it's really cool. The hypothesis is that appropriate video can enhance or prime the psilocybin-induced mystical experience, which previous research has indicated it can be effective for patients who desire to resolve some psychological challenges. And thinking back to some of those times that I might have used psilocybin in a macro dose, like, I mean, yeah, videos can be very impactful.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been using psychedelics on a recreational basis since the 70s, on and off. You know, I've always been one to experiment with psychedelics, and I've never made hidden that fact. And you know, that opened the doors for me being accepting to the new research and the new facts of enlightenment that we now have before us about the medicinal benefits of these plants.
Yeah, and you know, with so many people jumping on board and researching this and doing experiments and you know, and running studies, we're going to find new ways to use it with what we've got around us to have a better experience and have something that is going to be more useful to the patient. So the fact that they're coming out with something that's going to incorporate some video doesn't surprise me. It also makes me think of another therapy called EMDR that I've used with my psychiatrist, and it's a lot about eye movement. The EMDR therapy, while you're discussing your traumas, you have eye movement, so you have to watch, you know, something, and it moves your eyes, and it helps to remake pathways in your brains and do a lot of the same that, you know, a psilocybin therapy can do, which is cut those emotional ties between the memories, you know, you and the memories, so you can actually deal with them and put them away. So yeah, to me, this is kind of melding the two therapies, and it's really exciting.
Absolutely. You know, I remember, you know, recreationally melting in front of a TV with trippy scenes from the 60s, or, you know, looking into stuff like a kaleidoscope, you know, while you're tripping and stuff like that. Visual effects have a profound effect on you. Visual aspects do. You know, that's why many people gravitate to doing, you know, a psychedelic trip outside under the stars, to look up at the sky and get, you know, the movement of the sky. So visual, absolutely visual aspects will play a huge role. Now, therapy with psilocybin and other hallucinogens, this isn't new stuff. I mean, this all dates back, you know, to ancient times. You know, there's a long history of shamanistic cultures using these elements very successfully to manage issues.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and we've been reading the research forever, and I mean some of the research that we're doing, even the quote unquote modern research, goes back to the 30s and the 40s and even the 20s.
Yeah, absolutely. In the 1950s, psychedelics, including psilocybin, became the subject of therapeutic research at Harvard University, among other established institutions. It wasn't until later on when it was demonized and lumped in with all of the bad drug phase that we ran into problems with extending that research. It's about time we came full circle.
Absolutely. And there's a renaissance in psychedelic assistant therapy that's been going on now for about 20 years, says Dr. Kelly. And to him, as a neuroscientist, he thinks it's perhaps the most interesting thing going on in the neurosciences right now, because there's so much potential to help so many people in need.
Absolutely. They say during a typical psychedelic therapy session with psilocybin, the patient relaxes in a calm space, receives a dose of the active ingredient while being monitored into a hallucinogenic state for several hours to receive a mystical experience, or more simply, go on a trip. Patients are screened in advance for suitability to undergo integrated sessions with the therapist afterwards, and there is also a follow-up. And this is a typical theme that we've heard over and over in several of the news items that we've covered, and several of the shamans and healers that we've spoken to. They all have the same basic protocol.
Absolutely. I'm working myself to go through an iboga ceremony, and the paperwork that is involved in doing this, and the preparation you have to go through for your body to make sure that you're going to receive the medicine well, is great. You have to be clean of all other medications. They don't want you to go without, but if you're taking something very unnecessary that you can go without for a week, they want you to go without. They want you to eat healthy coming up to it. They want to make sure that your heart is healthy coming up to it. There's so many checkpoints to make sure a person is going to be safe when they ingest these medications.
Absolutely. So the one difference between this particular story and all of the others that we've covered, of course, is the integration of the video. The video segment that is shown during your trip is part of the therapy. Filmmaker Schwarzenberg obtained permission to film some of the therapy for his 2019 film Fantastic Fungi, devoted to exploring mushrooms, its place in the world, and its powers. He says, I think it shaped my life, and that his own first experience with psilocybin while in college, it's like the deepest meditative experience, he said. And that's when he became a believer in hearing the healing power of nature, and documenting it became a specialty of filmmaking. So it seemed natural for Johns Hopkins to seek out him to create this film for their clinical trial.
Yeah, it's really exciting. His psilocybin led him into this world, and I think that's fantastic. And I think that it's wonderful that he is working with Johns Hopkins in creating this film to help patients. Nature is a healing modality, so I want to be able to bring it into healthcare, or bring that into healthcare. And as Schwarzenberg said, so he's really obviously excited to do this and help.
Yeah, absolutely. His work has been used at UC San Diego Health, Jacobs Health Center, where patients can choose the visual ambiance, of their room, and also at the University of Texas Brain Health Center in Dallas. So, this guy's stuff is getting around, and working in conjunction with mushrooms is quite exciting.
Yeah.
It also goes on quite a long way to talking about opiates and tobacco and alcohol and all of the rest of the stuff, and the effects of these things, as well as the effects of their treatment. But I just thought, well, we have to cover this particular story. I'm bringing us back in, Cindy.
Okay.
We have to cover that particular story because number one, it's only 4 hours old, and number two, the integration of the video is so very exciting.
It is. It is. And like I said, it goes back to, I get taken back to the EMDR therapy that I went through here a few years ago, which helped a lot. And it was visual. As you're talking about your therapy, your psychiatrist guides you to follow their hand, and with your eyes. Like, you're not supposed to move your head. It's just an eye thing. So it's all about the visual. And it really does recreate paths and help to cut some of those emotional ties, so your traumas can be dealt with on a stronger basis.
Very cool. I still can't get rid of this new comments thing. Not getting my proper comments. I'm thinking I might try and reload my computer, but in order to do that, you've got to take over talking to me. You can, I'm going to do a little bit of technical stuff in the background. I'm going to leave you with Cindy for, 3 minutes maybe, while I just reload my page, hopefully be able to access everybody's comments. And then we will bring in our guests as well. So maybe we can talk a little bit about your journey to finding out how to go on your experience, how to get iboga treatment, or how to seek out, and how it's a little bit difficult to navigate those waters, right?
Yeah, it can be difficult, and it can be a little scary because it's not very mainstream. So
yeah, for sure. So Cindy's going to talk a little bit about that. I'll be talking about that.
Okay. So she's leaving me here by myself to talk about this. So with my story in particular, it started approximately 2.5 years ago, just before I watched the movie Dosed. Just before I saw that movie, I met somebody who offered me a microdose cap. And he explained to me what it was, that it was a very small dose of cannabis and a very small dose of psilocybin, suspended in coconut oil. And so I took it, and I had an amazing afternoon. I was full of energy. Everything was beautiful. Everything was bright. And I thought, this is for me. So I reached out to the same person. And of course, this was, 2.5-ish years ago. And they were like, well, maybe we can talk in person so I know that nothing's being recorded. And that never happened. And then the movie Dosed came up. And so I watched the movie Dosed. And when we watched it, the Halifax Psychedelic Society put it on in the one of the libraries in the HRM. And myself, as well as I think every other single person there, asked, how do we learn about this? How do we learn about ayahuasca? How do we learn about iboga? How do we learn about all of these therapies, all of these ceremonies that a person can go through that'll help with addiction or depression or PTSD? And the only thing that they kept coming back with us was, seek and ye shall find. It doesn't really help a person, but I understand why they said it, because of the legalities that are around everything. So I seeked around Nova Scotia, and I didn't really find a whole lot. And then here, in January, so we're talking about 2 months ago, I watched The Psychedelic Frontier. I watched it just a few hours after it appeared on TV. Hey, Kim. And when I was watching that, I was thinking, I thought of my experience watching Dosed. And I thought, okay, well, seek means reach out to the people that are there, right? Seek means, okay, well, I see you, and I'm going to seek information from you. So I thought about Dosed, and everybody that I saw on the Psychedelic Frontier that was kind of also on Dosed, I was on my phone while I was watching it on my computer, and I messaged all of them. I messaged Patrick Malden, the patient that was featured in the Psychedelic Frontier. I went back and rewatched Dosed, and I messaged everybody that I saw in Dosed, including Gabor Mady, actually. People got back to me. People. They recognized that I was like really honest to God seeking therapy, and they got back to me, and that started my journey of talking to people. And eventually, chatting with, it was 4 different guides here in Canada that can help a person go on these ceremonies. And after chatting with them, like there was one in particular that I really felt connected with. But it took a lot of reaching out, and it took a lot of conversations over programs like Signal or Wicker, etc. That's where everybody feels comfortable. But it didn't. Once I started reaching out, it didn't take long. It took maybe 3 weeks, and I was in conversations with all of these people, and I was starting to make plans. And hopefully this summer, just because of the way that I want to handle it and the fact that I want to document it, and I have an amazing friend who's offered to come and document it for me, moving, and she's moving. So it probably won't happen until this summer for me, which is absolutely fine. But yeah, it took a very little time once I really started seeking for people to come around and chat. So seriously, I mean, watch these documentaries, take a look at the people that are popping up and the companies that they represent, and start sending emails to these companies. They will reach back, I promise.
Absolutely. I think it's time we bring in special guests.
Awesome.
That I've got here. They're going to come and join the conversation about microdosing, and we're going to have a chat about microdosing. So you're excited to embark on your journey, but in the meantime, you've already started microdosing, the same as I have. And you've been doing it a little bit longer than me. And the next person that's coming up, doing it for even less time than me, get in here. And we got my friend JJ's in the house.
Hi, JJ.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good today. I'm good.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I thought the three of us ladies could have a little chat about microdosing and talk to some people here in the room. I'm going to acknowledge now that I can see comments. Thanks for filling in while I did my little reload there, Cindy.
No worries.
In the house, Cecilia's in the house. Facebook user, hi ladies, sup? That's Michael. Hello, Michael. Hi guys, back at you, Robert, Ginger again. Chad McGregor's in the house. Got Robin and JJ, of course. Oh, and Bannister's in the house, and a few other people's names that are under Facebook user. Welcome, everyone. If you've got any questions that you wanted to fire at Cindy or I, now's the time. Go ahead, fire away if you've got any questions for us. We'll try our best to answer them for you. But yeah, we've all three of us have been on a microdosing path. Now I know myself, I noticed it right away, and now I have regularly people coming up to me saying, people that I haven't seen for a while, especially, they're kind of looking at me after a conversation. It's like, wow, you changed a lot. And it's like, did I? Well, a lot calmer, a lot happier. Don't fly off the handle nearly as much. Handling my shit just a little bit better.
Yeah, I've noticed the same, personally with me. I've been microdosing regularly for approximately 2-ish years now. And one of the things I've noticed about me in the past, I'd say 6 months, I used to be that person that the friend, I would take anything, right? If anything went wrong, I'd apologize or I'd walk away, right? And by walking away, I mean, I'd walk away sad and I'd come back, apologizing. I would feel like I would take the feeling that it was all my fault. And something that I've noticed is that my courage and my belief in myself has become stronger. So I don't take as much of the excess anymore. I just say kind of, you know what? I can't be there. It's not that's not my party anymore. So I take off and go elsewhere. And I do it with I don't do it with a sad face anymore. I do it with a straight back, knowing I'm doing the best thing for me. And that's something that psilocybin has given me.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. It's done the same for me in a very short period of time that I've been microdosing.
That's exciting, JJ.
It changes fast, right?
Very fast. very fast.
Yeah, inside, like
Yes.
it's hard to describe. It's like
Yes.
it's something that happens internally. You get almost a confidence. You're at peace with stuff, so things are just that much easier. It's like, you know what? It's okay.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
I've become much more accepting of others' opinions.
Yeah.
Does that make like if somebody has a differing opinion as me, it's instead of thinking that, oh my gosh, you're wrong, I have to educate you. I think, okay, cool, and that's where I leave it, right?
That's your choice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's your choice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's your choice. Yeah. Not so quick to go to war over the small kid.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I know that from me personally as well. You know, somebody would say something in the past that I disagreed with. It was like, oh no, well, we're sitting up and we're having a conversation now because listen. And it didn't matter what it was about, right? It could be insignificant. It didn't have to be something important, you know, but it was like, all right, now, no, because now it's time to go to war. We have to do this, you know. I have to get in there, and yeah, I don't feel the need to do that anymore.
No.
Nope. Feedback approach.
Yeah. That's very true, Cindy. That's very, very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a big, big difference for sure.
Cecilia is wondering if there are any articles that any of us recommend to learn a little bit.
To learn about what? To learn about microdosing, or to learn about all of it engulfed, like all of it.
Recommend for people researching this topic. So this topic, I assume, is microdosing in dealing with depression and PTSD.
There are a number of pretty good articles. What I'll do for you, Cecilia, is at the end of the show, I'll dig them out and I'll post the links and comments for you guys to take a look at. It was actually one that was an accredited study that was in amongst the stories that we were going to cover today, and we skipped that one. We said, no, okay, we're going to drop that one because we only had room for so many, and that was one of the ones that we dropped. So I will throw that article up and in the news article, in the comments at the end of the show for you, as well as a few others. For anybody that's interested in learning more about this topic in general, I highly recommend, and yes, pun intended, I highly recommend that you watch several documentaries. First one, of course, is Dosed. And the next one would be the one put out by City TV on the psychedelic frontier. I've lost my words. Does somebody remember it?
The Psychedelic Frontier?
Yeah, it was. There was a name for it. I'll find it and I'll put it up in the comments as well. But I'll put up the links for those shows as well. They're available on YouTube, and they're both extremely informative. And follow articles posted on this Facebook network page. Open Your Eye, hashtag Open Your Eye Show. We post articles daily, numerous articles daily.
Yeah, if you scroll back on the page, there will be any number of articles about psilocybin, microdosing with psilocybin, in relation to a number of ailments, whether it be addiction or what you're asking about depression and PTSD. I believe I've also shared an article in there about how to get started with microdosing, and I'm sure there's we've shared a few. So if you go back and take a look too, there are a number of articles and research articles and studies that we've shared on the subject.
Yeah, for sure. A big shout out actually while I've got your attention here on the site, to the Facebook page, Open Your Eye. Huge shout out to Mike Powell. Mike Powell is a huge contributor of credible information on that site. So big shout out to Mike Powell.
Yeah, I see that a lot. He's always sharing.
Yeah. Great source of information.
So JJ, what about you? What led you to deciding to start microdosing? I mean, you know, like you're the newest one here, so you would have done the research the least amount of time ago, etc. What besides having Kim sitting there with you, what led you to deciding to microdose?
Well, as everyone else, I started experimenting when I was a teen, and I also suffer from. I've been deemed with chronic migraines as well, and so but mainly what led me to start microdosing is I secluded myself for 10 years. I did not leave my house. Unless it was necessary. And to me, necessary, that's grocery shopping and right back home. Yeah. So because of all the anxiety and the drama and the just every day in general dealing with shit just turned me off life. I didn't want to associate with anyone. I cut off all ties with every member of my family except for one. So yeah, and I called the it's like a health line, and I did a survey on depression, and I was deemed with severe depression as well, and that's what led me to that.
Wow.
Shortly after that, I met Kim. And it's been an uphill battle, but I'm winning.
Absolutely. Well, you've got one of the best friends sitting beside you to help you get up that hill, right? Yeah.
Yes, I owe her a lot of credit to where I am today.
Me too.
Pulling her out, man. We're pulling her out. You know, we're not gonna have that. Not on my watch.
Not on your watch. Yeah, well, I mean, knowing you now, JJ, I couldn't picture you to be somebody who was shy and stayed in. Like, I mean, you get on here. I mean, you were singing 2 weeks ago. So just so y'all know exactly what can happen with psilocybin and how amazing the medicine is. What she just explained. She was literally on internet karaoke singing her little heart out on Facebook here 2 weeks ago, and I'm not lying or exaggerating. She really, really was.
Yeah. And when I met JJ, she was just barely coming out of her house. She was just barely coming out. A friend of hers talked her into working the door at a cannabis event in Northern Ontario. It was Hempfest North was taking place, and somebody that JJ knew talked her into working the door for him. He said, "I need you to work the door. You're the only one I trust." And that was how I met her.
Wow.
And I didn't let her go back in.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. So it's been a haul. It's like pulling fucking teeth getting her out in the first couple of years. No, you're coming. We have fights, man. You're coming. No, she's not. Yeah, she is. She's coming. But yeah, we're there now, right?
Absolutely.
And cannabis, it started off with cannabis being a big part of that, and then evolved into the psychedelic therapy after that, and that sent it off like cannabis was a big help, but it was like running a rabbit against a snail.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it'll get you there at a snail's pace. Using the psilocybin will get you there at a hare's pace, right? So, yeah, I mean, now combining the two of them together, it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've done a lot of progress very fast in a very short amount of time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, JJ. That's an incredible story, and to know, like, to see for myself how far you've come is really, really beautiful, right?
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to be back on Saturday Night Singing again, right?
I don't know about that.
Who knows? Maybe I'll surprise everybody.
Oh, well, you laugh, Kim, but JJ's like, yeah, not a problem.
Right, I'll hold the mic. I'll be the mic stand. I'll dance in the background.
My backup dancer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I can lip sync. I can lip sync the backup vocals.
Right?
You hear the voice, right? Yeah, this voice doesn't sing. Yeah, especially with this emphysema that I have and bronchitis. Not conducive to singing, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
Not at all, not at all. So yeah, I think we're gonna go to shout outs. We talked a lot about news and some personal experiences. Cindy, we're looking forward to your journey into the future, and I'm really looking forward to tagging along and sharing your experience when we go out to do that for you. And I'm happy to document it, and then of course you and I will edit it together and show only what you want shown, and we're going to put it together into a short little film.
Yeah.
Share your experience here on OYE after it's all done.
Absolutely. So that's something that that if you're curious about, you can just if you pay attention as I go through it, we're going to share the experience so you know what you can be looking for in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
I'm excited as well to see it in person. You know, I mean, I've watched the documentaries and a few YouTube pirate sort of YouTube underground videos of different ones that are available out there, and but to be there, to actually and to see everything that gets left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. You know, what I get told by, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people that are in the industry and help, and there's more than you would think here in Canada, but every single one of them says, you know, after chatting with me for a bit, they, you know, and they hear my desires and, you know, what I hope to achieve. They all say, like, listen, you know, like, you wait to see the person that you are when you walk out. All this beautiful stuff that you hope for, yeah, it's going to be there. So I'm really excited. And then, you know, it'll also give me strength and more knowledge to go back to my psychiatrist and to move forward with that therapy and to keep everything from coming back.
Right. And microdosing for maintenance.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that, you know, with any of these medicines, it's not a one pill fix. It's not a one ceremony fix. I'll go for this ceremony and it'll really cut to the core. It'll really give a lot of strength and a lot of help, but I will have to continue on with the microdosing. I'll have to continue with the therapy with my psychiatrist, and I will have to go back for maintenance ceremonies. With somebody like me who, I mean, I'm not an active addiction. It's the PTSD that we're dealing with. I won't have to go back as often, but I still have to go back for smaller dose ceremonies. Yeah. It's not a one pill fix.
No, absolutely not. And it's to help you put it in a vault and keep it there.
Yeah. It helps you. It helps you put it there. It helps to cut those emotional ties. So what I notice if I'm, especially on a, you know, like the day after my microdose day, so I'm on day 1 of being off, if a memory comes up, it's just a memory versus a memory that puts me into bed crawling and, you know, crying in a fetal position, right? It cuts those emotional ties. So I'm really hoping after a spiritual shower ceremony that when I go back to my psychiatrist, that we have an extended period of time that we can deal with what has happened to me without it totally wrecking me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Looking at it from it's like looking at and experience the situation from outside.
Exactly.
So you're looking down, you're seeing what happens as an
Yep.
outside entity. So you're disconnected from the emotional, you're disconnected from the pain, you're disconnected from the physical. But you still experience it, view it, and you can view it now with different eyes. It allows you to put it in a place that you can deal with it. So then you can't put it in the vault, and when it comes out of the vault, or just reappears, it's not an issue. It's a memory that you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was tough. Okay, go away again.
Yeah. Yeah. Versus knocking you into bed for a day or a week. And
God, just remembered that, and now I can't function.
yeah. Yep. So yeah, I'm really excited to go through it and to report the outcome. What's exciting is I've got a few months for our listeners and viewers to get to know me, so they're going to be able to see the difference in me as well. So yeah, it'll be good and educational for I think everybody that's watching. And not that these documentaries that we viewed aren't educational. I mean, they've gotten me to this point, and a lot of us to this point. But I mean, to be going through it myself, or to be able to spend time getting to know somebody and then watch them go through it, I think is going to be a bigger impact for anybody that is close to me and knows me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us today live here on StreamYard on PaceRadio.net, your cannabis education network, expanding into the realm of psychedelics. My joint host, Miss Cindy Howell, and then my second guest tonight, my live in-person guest tonight, JJ, is in the house, our coffee and impromptu guest. Thanks for joining us, JJ. Miss Cindy, you and I are back in 3 weeks' time with the lovely Michelle Skora for another segment here on Open Your Eye, and we will have a special guest joining us.
So excited.
Stay tuned for an announcement that'll be coming up in advance of the next show, where we'll be interviewing another person in this psychedelic space. Pretty excited for the next one. It should be very, very good. I hope
Get your questions ready. He's going to be a good one to answer a bunch.
It's gonna be a great show for sure. Thank you everybody for tuning in here at PaceRadio.net. Thank you for Pace Radio for hosting our segment on psychedelics. Open Your Eye. Lovely Michelle Sikora will be back with us next week again here on the second and the fourth Tuesday of each and every single month on hashtag Open Your Eye Show. Hashtag Open Your Eye Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we will catch you next time. Hopefully, the opening plays without too many issues.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.